Watch out. I'm detecting void fissures nearby. Do you have a matching relic? A fissure. Defend your... Find more.
Alright, so you guys want to learn how to build Citrine, aka Gem Crystalis, as I'm calling this build. Keep in mind, this is the first edition of this particular build. I will be revisiting it in the future, but this is the build that I currently run at the point of making this video. Couple ones that I am going to be returning to in the near future are, of course, Hildren and Cora, which I will be updating as soon as I can. Cora is a bit difficult because of the factor of how she works, but I will get into that once we get into the Cora video. Anyways, this one's all about Citrine. You might just realize it's actually pretty short. Could just be your stance. Alright, let's go over some of her basic abilities. Now they actually have full energy. Alright, so the first one is Gem Shatter. This basically throws gems at your opponents, and when it kills, you can see the health per second on the right side actually go up. So this affects your entire party. So this is how many health per second that you are regenerating. Now, of course, they're not attacking because of paused AI. Next, we have her 2, which brings up the armor ability. This is how much armor you're actually giving your teammates from simply just existing. Now note it does tick down as long as they're not making any kills. And it does actually go up as you deal damage. Or, yeah, just making kills. So you know, before I fell off, it went up a little bit. Alright, well anyways, that's the basic gist of it. Next we have her 3, which is the Gem Crystalis. Now this doesn't actually do any attack per se, directly. Instead, it's kind of more of a sort of addition to your attack. So you attack something, it deals all damage to your particular foes. So you can see that that rainbow over there. This deals all damage types. See that rainbow coming off of it? It's dealing all singular types of damage. As long as I'm hitting one of the foes. And it's spreading towards everybody else in this group. And next is this one. Which, as you can see, transforms them all into nice, beautiful gemstones. Yay! If you hit the gemstones, it deals more damage. Higher crit, higher everything. Sorry, I'm still working on that build. But you can see that that health per second go up as I'm making kills. Like I mentioned that earlier. Now, you actually want to hit the gemstones because they deal more damage that way. But you can see those numbers actually jump up. That's why it's very important to deal a lot of kills as you're with Citrine. Because you can buff up that health per second. The cap, I believe it's a hard cap, which is a 25 health per second. Which is still really good. It's not Wisp standards, but it's still a decent amount. But one of the nice things about Citrine is that she can actually, you know, buff up armor as well. So therefore your opponents aren't taking any additional damage. Tongue-tied. Alright, now note I do have 2 kick guns. These are going to be featured in a future builds video, so I am not going to be showing you these. Instead, we're going to be going over the build per se for now. Now, a couple of things that are going to change going forward with this particular build is, of course, the ideology of her getting a augment. At present time, at the point of making this video, she does not have any augments. Now, based off of my testing and based off of my findings, duration really affects her, range really affects her, and strength really affects her. Efficiency is kind of one of those that you can just toss out the window, doesn't really affect her a whole lot. Now, as I've mentioned numerous times in my previous videos, just because you have a certain build, keep in mind, use my build as a reference. This is a very crucial thing that I think everybody should end up keeping in mind. Now, this build works great for me, but it may not work great for your particular playstyle. This is how we respect every single tenno that is playing the game. Now, first off, I have Energy Siphon because, honestly, I always seem to have an issue with energy, no matter what, even with Arcane Energize. Next, we have Cunning Drift, which ends up adding Slide. Not necessarily a huge benefit, but the range is definitely a benefit. Now, granted, you could always substitute this with Power Drift. It works pretty well too, just slightly less range. Now, I have Nearest Hatred in here for extra duration, but once again, doesn't have to be Nearest Hatred. This could be other mods as well, like Power Drift fits in here pretty well as well. We also have Augur Reach. We have Blind Rage. Now, Blind Rage is very good because, like I mentioned before, efficiency doesn't really matter too much for her particular playstyle. It's one of those that you can honestly just toss out the window, have efficiency at virtually 0, and she'd be perfectly fine with that. Next we have Stretch, which obviously adds more range, continuity, more duration, Primed Flow, more energy is always nice, Constitution, which also adds more duration, and Adaptation. Now you're probably asking yourself, okay, why do you use Adaptation for quite a few of your recent builds? And it's strictly because of damage negation. Is it required? No. A couple of the other things that I do for extra fluff, Arcane Aegis isn't necessarily a big thing for her. And depending on your duration, you may have to also cast your abilities more, which means that you're going to be casting more energy. This is kind of crucial on her particular playstyle, at least the way that I play her. So we're going to actually jump into a mission, and I'll teach you some of the ways that we can actually use her. So one thing about Citrine that's a very big importance is she's better suited for things like survival or defense.
Use that reactant to open a relic.
Especially if you can kill multiple enemies at once.
You are going to need more reactant if you want to open that.
So you can see on the screen how anybody nearby range gets a buff up of elemental damage. That's from the actual gemstone itself. The one thing you have to remember about the gemstone barrage, her first ability, is the factor it kind of works akin to a shotgun. So the further the target is, the less damage it does, as opposed to being right in their face. You have a sliver! No!
Speaking to myself about disorderly conduct, I cannot help questioning every little thing as my mental health took a hit from events preceding hell itself. And I myself am not religious by any means, but Satan lives in Hollywood. You can feel his energy living Long Beach, unsealed heaven's enemy. A face so evil, the upheaval suspended me. Pretending to be saving grace and codependency, resentfully causing grief, replacing every present tree. Lack of empathy for relentlessly acting out of jealousy, destroyed our chemistry. How's it fair to me to be an only casualty, catering your penalty? Consequentially, in purgatory,
Yeah.
this entropy, so lay me to sleep whenever I feel weak. Must enough energy to escape this jeopardy. I'll sleep before I spiral.
Bang! More.
More. From such a rigorous rut within a vigorous clutch. My clutch deliverance could only bring about indifference and a deliberate attempt.
Okay, if you say so, Lotus.
Triggered enough without adrenaline rush, stuck like a stick in the mud, break from brittlest touch. But once my slumber is up, I'll sober up from our bust. Blend every blunder to dust, give wonder skills to re-up. Cause yup, my setback was a setup for a comeback, an opportunity to chase, so don't try to run back. Standing in my way, instilling pain before you ransack. Put your foot in front of me, we'll see if I can fall flat. Lay my deck in front of you to flush you with a blackjack. Flashback to smokestack traps that it's sidetracked. A mission reposition via post-traumatic inhibition. Awakening a soundtrack, yeah, it's time to listen.
I won't let you pin me in a penalty, and I won't beat an enemy pleasantly, cause I refuse to brush off your treachery. Blackout thought melody is weaponry. I won't let you pin me in a penalty, and I won't beat an enemy pleasantly, cause I refuse to brush off your treachery. Blackout thought melody is weaponry. I'll sleep before I spiral, midnight dream on arrival, nightmares can set survival, awaken in a while. I'll sleep before I spiral, midnight dream on arrival.
Thanks, you're making this difficult. Wow, that was a fail.
I didn't come to the shadow world alone. To face these mental shutdowns, I've searched inside of myself for a little divine intervention. What do you say? Shall we?
Let's dance, wonder.
Flock of prey swarming up above. Scout stalk dive down, pick a partridge up. Fresh meat seasoned, leave any hot to God. Squawk till every little last piece drop. What is done is done. Meals aren't for fun when you run a man unit drive-through run. Chew toy in their hot desert sun. Didn't matter what you deserve, son. Tuned to my ears soon as I got here. Greeted without cheer, hear nothing but cheers. What's the deal here? Seer without revere? Is every little thing not as it appeared? How severe, doomed to perish near? Nothing but a setup, heard you loud and clear. Dark hours, clouding atmospheres, seeping deep into a nightmare. Thought I would be welcome with open arms, but instead of face to face, putrefy your arms. Every bullet shell proving that you're full of it, but if I'm bulletproof, shouldn't be nothing to it. I am thou, break away from your harm, and thou art I, my bewitching alarm. Awakening social link, lovers arcana, maxed out ultimate persona.
Broken mirrors, tattered walls. Who will save you when you...
I'll reshoot this. Alright, take two. So I hope this video helped showcase on how Citrine, based off of my understanding, should be built. Now granted, as I mentioned before, I'm not going to judge anybody that has a build that's slightly different. Like I said, this is how I play her, and this is how it benefits my personal playstyle. Your playstyle might differ a little bit. You might prefer less duration. You might prefer more range with a higher focus on range. That is completely up to you. I try and build most of my builds to be somewhat equalized, but kind of focused on one or two abilities. Citrine's kind of an interesting one because you want to focus on 3 abilities, as I mentioned earlier in the video. But with that being said, I'm kind of hoping that this build video showcases the fact that Citrine is a very good Warframe and deserves a lot of respect. And I say this because I've been hearing a lot of fellow YouTubers call her a sham, call her useless, call her, so many other things that I don't think she deserves. Citrine is probably one of my most favorite Warframes, and with that being said, I do want to thank you guys all for coming, and if you like what you see, definitely consider subscribing, because as many of you that have been watching this video haven't actually been subscribing. So definitely let's fix that, and click that subscribe button down below. And also, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment as well. This helps with the YouTube algorithm actually getting this out. And also the Citrine love that Citrine, I think, really needs. But anyways, thank you all for coming in, I hope to see you again next time. Stay tuned for future videos. Bye for now.